So the top story of the weekend, and I think one of the bigger stories that's happened in TNA for a while, the biggest acquisition for TNA that's happened in a while. Jeff Hardy did in fact return. We talked about it on Thursday night. PW Insider had broken the news earlier in the day that they confirmed Fightful Select story that Jeff Hardy was indeed exiting AEW. His contract expired, and he was going to be a free agent. And then PW Insider said not only is he a free agent, he will be appearing on TNA this weekend, and where he'd be making his return. So the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, has returned to TNA, and he returned at in the closing scene of Against All Odds, and to help his brother Matt fend off the system. You know, he got such a monster pop. People calling it the Road Warrior pop. Now, I don't want to sit here and call Jeff Hardy a Road Warrior because of how many DUIs that boy has had, but I think that's probably not the right thing to call him. Maybe give him that might not be the best thing to say, but boy, was that pop insane. That was for a TNA show. That was the biggest pop that I've seen in forever. Like I'm trying to remember like a bigger moment because like Ziggler had like a good, or Nemeth had like a decent debut, but that he didn't have the Jeff Hardy pop. Matt Hardy had a decent debut, did not have a Jeff Hardy pop. Jeff Hardy is on another level. He is without a doubt one of the most popular wrestlers in TNA history. He really is. And him and Matt are so perfect for TNA with where they're at in their careers. They're very perfect for TNA. There's this guy on Twitter that said, I think his name's Steve. I don't know what his last name is, but he said that because he kind of picks on TNA a bit, but he said having a mid-sized company like TNA really is important. It's a good place for guys like the Hardys to go, who are kind of on the downside of their careers, but still have something left to give. They can go to a smaller company and produce, and you saw that with the closing scene with the Hardys and the Nemeths. Like, Nick Nemeth had his WWE run. He was there for 19 years, and it ran its course. Ryan Nemeth is never going to get a shot to do anything important on AEW or WWE, but here he is in a tag team with his brother, right? Closing the show with the Hardy Boys and Joe Hendry. It's important to have TNA around for young talent who are on the up and coming, right? Making a name for themselves, that are not quite ready for a big time spotlight in WWE or AEW. They can earn their stripes in TNA and learn the business in TNA, learn how to work in front of crowds, learn how to get over, do all those things. But it's also important, it's probably equally or even more important, that when a really good talent or even a name talent is kind of on that backside of their career, but they still want to produce and they still want to make some money, and they're just not, they don't want to, they want to still have fun in the business, that TNA is a good landing spot for them, where they have like a steady paycheck and they can still go work indies and do trade shows and card shows and Comic Cons and all that stuff. But but their main source of revenue can be TNA. I think that's cool. And I think that having TNA around and being successful is very important for the industry as a whole. And we saw it last night. Like Jeff Hardy was popular when he was in AEW, but he wasn't being treated like this. These kids, and the kids are probably like in their 30s by now, but a lot of them were kids, like children, when Jeff Hardy was at his peak in TNA. And I'm not talking about the first Jeff Hardy run, where he was in between WWE stints early, like in the mid 2000s. I'm talking about like Creatures and world champion Jeff Hardy. I'm talking like the Hogan Bischoff era with Jeff Hardy and the trials and tribulations and all the ups and downs for him. Even at his worst during that time, he was still extremely popular. The guy just has it. The guy is a star. He just has so much charisma, and he cannot cut a promo to save his life, but it doesn't matter. People still love the guy. He's got, the face paint, the bad dancing, the crazy moves, the outfits, the swanton. He has the worst stunner I've ever seen. It really does. It's like, because I can't remember what the twist of fate or whatever it's called, but he turns it into a stunner. It looks terrible, but it works for him. Everything he does works. Oh, you know what? I got guys in the chat. I haven't been able to get to you guys yet. Look, Lucha Doncic said the hood loves Jeff Hardy. They do. They do. 100%. And Io says rockstar aura Jeff Hardy. Yeah, the guy just has an aura about him. He really does. And he's back in TNA. And he closed the show. They closed the show on a really high note. And I know there's some haters out there like, oh, ha, ha, TNA, LOL, look at these old. No, like, I don't know what your guys' problem is. It's TNA. What are you doing? This is what you don't want the Hardys to be able to work. What? Because because it didn't work in AEW. You don't think that they should have jobs now? What are you doing? What's wrong with you people? This is a good thing. How could you have any negative feelings towards the Hardys and TNA after seeing that pop for what they got at Cicero Stadium? Are you kidding me? There's something going on in your life that you need to figure out. You might just be a bad person. I don't know. It's like you're a sick individual. There's something wrong about you that sucks that you need to figure out. This is a good thing. The Hardys being in TNA is perfect. It is the perfect landing spot for them. They don't need to be in WWE and they shouldn't be in AEW, right? But they're perfect for TNA. They'll probably win the tag title soon, and that's a good idea. That is a good call. Everybody's like, oh, TNA, LOL, go fuck yourself. This is actually a good thing. And they're going to sell tickets for TNA. They really will. Are they going to sell Wembley Stadium? No, dummies. Okay. Are they gonna get significant ratings? No, dummies. But they're gonna have an increase of business for TNA, guaranteed. Guaranteed they will. It's gonna happen. You guys don't understand pro wrestling. You just don't. You just don't get it. There's something wrong with you. You're not as smart as you think you are. Okay. If you think that the Hardy Boys in TNA is a bad thing, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a stupid person. But yeah, so they're on the downside of their careers and they're over as shit. They really are. For everybody that did not want to see Matt Hardy in the main event with Moose, you guys are out of touch at this point because Matt Hardy was over as well. Like that building was on fire for Matt Hardy. They really were. And then they just came unglued for Jeff. But they were on fire for that Moose versus Matt Hardy match. They actually did a good job in that main event. It wasn't a 5-star classic. You're not going to get that at a Matt Hardy. Brother ain't got no knees or hips. But for what they were able to do, they actually had a pretty good match. And they sent the crowd home happy, despite the fact that Matt Hardy lost. Like, that's Pro Wrestling 101. They nailed it. They freaking nailed it. And now with Jeff. And so here's the problem with Jeff, though. Hold on, swig of coffee for Jeff. Here's the problem with Jeff. He's now the biggest star in the company. He's now the most over guy in the company. And you're like, Mike, why is that a problem? It's absolutely a problem. Because they had plans, at least I thought they did, for like Joe Hendry and Santana and Josh Alexander and Macklin. But now he has come in and on night one, and Nick Nemeth, he has come in and on night one, he's bigger than all of them. He really should be in the main event. Slammiversary, to be honest with you. They're not going to do it, and they should not do it. But if you're looking at it from like a business perspective, what's the biggest match they can make right now? And it's Jeff Hardy in the main event of Slammiversary going for the world title. It really is. Now I get the feeling Jeff Hardy, the Hardy brothers are going to fight the system for the tag team titles. But if you're looking at it from like what would sell the most tickets and sell the most pay-per-views, it's absolutely Jeff Hardy in the main event for the world championship. Who cares who the champion is? It's Jeff Hardy on top. that and that's all there is to it. So, but Jeff is like a humble guy. He's not going to come in and do that. But like that really is where they could go there, and they would make more. They would absolutely make more money if they did that. They absolutely would. Nobody can tell me any different. They absolutely would. Jeff Hardy is that big of a star. He is 100% the biggest star in the company right now. Bigger than Nick Nemeth, bigger than Moose, bigger than all of them. It's Jeff Hardy. Here's the problem. You can't trust Jeff Hardy. He's proven that time and time again. He has gotten himself in trouble in every company he's worked for multiple times. And he keeps getting chance after chance after chance. This dude could right now, honestly, if you're telling me right now that Jeff Hardy murdered somebody on the road with his vehicle because he was intoxicated, I would not shock me at all. That's the problem with Jeff Hardy. Everybody loves the guy, but he cannot keep it together. And that's probably why he's not even, I doubt that they sign him to a long-term contract here, because you just can't trust the guy to keep himself together, right? It wouldn't surprise me if he left Chicago last night drinking and driving. It just would not shock me whatsoever. So that's the problem with Jeff. And that's why you can't trust him to be your top guy, because he's going to get in trouble if he does. So they got to kind of temper it back a little bit and just put him in a tag team with his brother. And Matt should absolutely be in a tag team, because I don't think you want him doing too many singles matches. What he did last night with Moose was perfect. And if Matt's going to be in a singles match, it has to be Gaga and gimmicks and all the other stuff. And he had to pull the ladder out and do the tables. But that's what Matt should be doing.